right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Focus on You with Phil and Oscar. I am by my lonesome today because Oscar is out of town, or at a training, something like that. So kudos to him. And because we're always looking to improve ourselves one way or the other. Well, we have a magnificent guest for you today, and his name is Michael Padurano. And he is going to tell a little bit of his story, a little bit about what he does. And you're going to want to tune into this. So reach out to your friends, like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. I got that from my good buddy, Orville. And, just share this because I think it's going to change somebody's life and it's going to make a difference. By the way, we want to ask you to go to pnnstationplus.com. That is pnnstationplus.com if you'd like more information about what we do here. We are a podcasting platform that produces podcasts for entrepreneurs and those who are looking to get into the motivational speaking space. All right. We've been doing this for the last 5 years as far as podcasting, but we also do digital marketing and other amazing things for you to be able to grow and expand your vision for your business or your business ideas, whatever you're looking to do. So reach out to us. Go to pnnstationplus.com if you want more information, or you could reach out to me at 973-391-5813. Send me a text first so I know who you are, and we can connect about that. We're also stepping into, we've just established our pillars for the Phoenix National Network, which is faith, opportunity, communication, unity, and strategy. And we're going to go into that a little bit more as we develop that. But that's the pillars of our company and the focus, the bare soul of what we do here on the Phoenix National Network. So without any further ado, I am going to introduce our guest. Michael, it's great to have you.
Hey, Phil. I'm honored to be here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, how are you doing?
I'm growing forward. I'm just living in faith and trust and following my intuition 100% implicitly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's amazing how faith is a big part of us manifesting, what has been put inside of us, right? And I want you to tell a little bit about your journey. You don't have to go into all the details, but tell the folks about who you are a little bit and what you're doing right now.
So I'll give some type of version of it, right? Because my story is detailed and has many twists and turns. I was adopted at birth, which automatically gives me abandonment issues. I was abused from 2 to 14 by my adopted mother because she did the best she could but didn't know better. She was generally generationally trauma passing it down because back in the early 80s, it wasn't a topic of conversation unless you looked for it. So there wasn't really the self-awareness there or the understanding of what we understand today. Information wasn't as readily available as it is today. My parents did the absolute best they could. They loved me the best way that they knew how. None of it is anyone's fault. There's no one to blame. It's just life happens. And we learn and we grow through what we're meant to grow through within life. At that point, I started drinking at 9 to numb the pain and hide my spiritual gifts. I started doing hardcore drugs at 12. And then it proceeded to expand and grow from there. And I've been all over the place. I've been worth $1 million, over $1 million 5 times, and I've been homeless 5 times. All sorts of different reasons, different ways. I've made it and lost it many times. I've built stuff from scratch. I've made an amazing, enormous global international impact projects. I worked the United Nations Development Program for 4.5 years. One of their programs based out of Asia. It was called South SS Gate, so South Gate, transferring technologies from the north to southern hemispheres and all those different things. So bringing a lot of technologies to Africa, South America, all these different regions. It was a very interesting learning experience, and as much as I self-sabotaged most of my life, and I even self-sabotaged there because I was invited to be a keynote speaker for UN events globally for 4 years, but I could never make it because of the partner in life I chose. Right, when we're coming from an unhealed space, we align with others that are unhealed. So it led to having a partner that kept me in my space and kept me wounded, and I lived in my trauma cycles, and I lived in my reactive trauma brain. um, and I just build and I grow and I evolve, and I call it growing forward. I've had many near-death experiences. The most recent one was a major stroke, November 16th of 2022. It was a triple major stroke. I was driving at the time with my son in the car, and I am healthier than I've ever been. It's unbelievable because my son tells me, right, because he was with me. I don't really remember the exact details. I was driving, I was pulling up to a red light. I looked at him and I said, Thomas, I don't feel right. And he looked at me and he said, Dad, what is wrong? And he said my eyes rolled to the back of my head and I passed out. And as soon as the light turned green, whatever that was, 30, 45, 60 seconds later, he tapped me on the shoulder and said, Dad, the light's green. You got to drive home. I get this surge of energy through my whole body, and I drove home. I do not remember driving home. I didn't know it was a stroke, so I got home, and I was just super tired, and I lost mobility on my left side of my body. I didn't realize how paralyzed it was until the next morning, but it was paralyzed for the first 6 weeks.
Wow.
um, and I went into my practices, my spiritual and healing practices that I was taught in modalities, and I went into these healing spaces, listening to frequency healing. So basically, for that first 12 to 24 hours, other than taking care of the kids, I slept while healing myself and just healed and just went into like these complete deep sleeps and deep knocked out meditative type states. And I woke up the next day and I realized how paralyzed I was. I started dragging my body up and downstairs to get my three kids ready and out the door because that was a 3 hour practice back then. My kids had scattered schedules, so it was get one up, hour later he was on the bus. Get another up, hour later she was on the bus. Get another one up, hour later she was on the bus. So literally that 3 hour process to up and down the stairs, I really noticed how bad my mobility was. So I immediately sent a voice text to, or I called a friend and I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. And he's like, what do you, I don't understand what you're saying. I didn't realize that half my face was paralyzed and I was stumbling words and mumbling and no one could understand me. In my head, I understood me. Like this, it's a perfect perception of life because we always think everybody understands us. But until you're willing to ask the question, do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which we normally don't out of fear and trauma responses, right? You never know if the person understands. In this case, they didn't understand. So then they texted me and I realized I couldn't text. I didn't have the mobility or I couldn't even use my right hand to text at the time. That took about 2 months to come back before I had the mobility to be able to do it. So he just said, I'm coming over. We're going to the hospital. He just sent me a message. And we got my son to school, which was the last one to get out of the house. And he took me to the hospital. I was dragging half my body in, and the lady looked at me and said, what's wrong with you? And I said, I think I had a stroke. And she's like, when? I said, yesterday morning. And she goes,
Wow.
why are you here? The medication only works for 4 hours and this and that. And they were fighting me on the whole fact that I had a stroke. And then when they took me back for the scan, finally, they took me back. My blood pressure was through the roof because the first thing your body does is your blood
Wow.
pressure goes up when after
Mm-hmm.
you have a stroke, so that it pushes the flow through, so that whatever it was. And they admitted me before even telling me what happened.
Wow.
So when I got up into my room, the doctor came into my room and he's like, yeah, you had a major stroke. You had a triple stroke. 86% chance you'd be a vegetable for the rest of your life. And I'm just sitting there
Wow.
and I'm like, okay, cool. Next, what's next? And so then it came out to the next day. He's like, "You're staying overnight." I talked to my friend. He stayed overnight with the kids, got them to school and stuff. But that was coming into a Friday. It happened on a Thursday. I'm a solo parent of 3 kids that are healing from their own trauma that they've been through in life. So they're not comfortable just going wherever, doing whatever, being with whoever. They're not comfortable, right? They have their own trauma to heal through. So So the doctor comes in the next morning and he's like, "So you got to stay the weekend. We've got to run these battery of tests." And I said, "I thought there was nothing you could do because, you said that there's a 4-hour window to get the medication in you." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Why are you keeping me?" He goes, "Well, we need to do a whole bunch of battery of tests." And I said, "Can't I do them with my own doctor?" And he was arguing with me and he goes, "No, you should do it while you're here." And I said, "I have no one to take care of my kids." And then he goes, "Well, we'll call child services and they'll take care of them for you." And I said,
Okay.
"Absolutely not. I'm
Yes.
releasing myself immediately." So I released myself immediately. I made a deal with the nurse because the nurse was crying. She was so scared that I shouldn't leave. Just my blood pressure didn't come all the way down yet, and the doctor didn't want to give me the medications to leave, so he didn't give me any scripts. He gave me nothing because he said I shouldn't be leaving, so he refused to give me the medicine, which I think is a real flaw in the medical
Wow.
system. Um,
We have quite a few flaws in the medical system.
quite a few. It's just one
This
glaring one
is
that
this is
personally
not the
affected me.
conversation for that.
Right.
That's yeah.
So I made a deal with the nurse that if I could put my pants on by myself, that she would let me leave. I only fell once, but I got my pants on. I literally busted my ass because I couldn't move my left side of my body. So like
Mhm.
I'm sitting here trying to do it, and then you have the socks on, so your socks are slipping on the damn floor, and it's like, okay, I got to do this. So I closed my eyes and I put my pants on. I was able to do it with my eyes closed and just really focus in like a meditative state again, and
Mhm.
put my clothes on. So they let me leave because they couldn't stop me from leaving once you signed yourself out. And next thing I know, they take my driver's license away,
Oh
which
wow.
I understand in hindsight.
Right.
At the
Why that's
time,
necessary.
right
Right.
at the time, how am I getting to my doctors? And I have doctors all over: cardiologist, pulmonologist. What else did they send me to? A neurologist, my new general practitioner. All these doctors. So they're like, well, you need to go get your eyes checked before we can let you keep your license, and you need to prove that you have vision and all these different things. And I'm like, well, how do I go do these things? I can't. I don't drive. Like now, I can't drive. So how do I do these things? So I ended up having to get rides. The insurance company said, well, it's going to take 4 weeks out to schedule any appointment. And I'm like, the doctor said it was emergency that I go see these people. And how do I go see the follow ups after my stroke if I got to wait 4 weeks a piece? So the system is beyond flawed. It took 6 weeks to get me into physical therapy. By then, I was almost already healed because the up and downstairs, taking care of my kids, doing everything by myself. I didn't have family around. I didn't really have friends around. I had no physical support. It was me and my kids. So I'm looking back, I feel like that was my physical therapy. Taking care of my
Mhm.
kids, going up and down the stairs all the times every day, and
Kids will
texting
keep
and
you active.
telling you, texting and typing on my phone has probably helped bring the mobility back, the dexterity back, and the ability to be able to focus and do those things. Um, but
So
yeah,
I think you're in the process right now of writing a book, right?
so during my stroke, I got a very direct message to take my way of life, excuse me, to take my way of life and how I healed through everything that I've been through and
Hmm.
share that journey, share the healing practices, create a program for others to emulate if they feel the need to, if they feel called to. So I was fortunate enough, I stepped back from LinkedIn for almost 10 months, never really did anything on Instagram. But because I had no Instagram network at the time, I can go on there and start networking and building a network that didn't know me before. So,
Hmm.
like, whatever insecurities I might have had about the lip sagging or the speech not clear didn't exist because these were new people. So they never knew me before.
I
So
got you.
I was able to meet specific people along my way, right? Because people are always put in your path. As you
Mm-hmm.
move forward and as you stay in your integrity and on your journey, people get placed in your path. So I met a writer, and she helped me to take the thoughts running through my head because I couldn't function. I couldn't type. I couldn't write paragraphs. I couldn't create stuff like I always used to. So what she helped me do was take my way of life and turn it into a physical program. And so the book that I released in December of last year, a little bit over a year after my stroke, was that part of my program that I created.
Mm-hmm.
From December to March 1st, I made it more robust, more detailed, more because I started getting my spark back around that time. I was starting to think clearly, I was starting to write again. So I was able to revisit all my daily practices and really create a structured program around it for people to Frankenstein and pick the pieces that align to them. Because nothing is meant for everyone. We're infinite.
Frankenstein it.
Well, we so often want to be the authority figure. We so often want to be a leader, but we forget that we have to lead ourselves first, right? We forget that what
Mm-hmm.
you want to do is be transparent with your life,
Mm-hmm.
share your way of being, share your authentic stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it in between, so that others can emulate pieces of the journey that relate to them. Because there's infinite ways, infinite possibilities, and there's 8.2 billion people. There is no one way to do anything. So you have to be open enough to be and understanding enough and compassionate enough with yourself to be able to be that for anyone else. So I created a program around it. I made it phases. First thing I did was create a corporate program. After speaking to a few Fortune 100 companies, I realized corporate is really not ready for it because they like the status quo, the bottom line first mentality. They can claim to be into their mission statement, their credo, their vision statement, but at the end of the day, they don't care. They care about bottom line and answering their shareholders. That's what they care about. That's their first priority. And because I went to companies that had aligned vision, mission statements, and credos, I
Mm-hmm.
know based on their answers to me that they don't want to live into it. And that's no judgment. They're doing what they do best. And that's fine. If that's how they want to live, that's what they want to die with, then more power to them. It's okay. The one guaranteed in this world is that we all die eventually, right? Every day we're a day closer to death. So how are you going to live until that moment?
That is the key. There's a saying out there: "It's not how you die that makes a statement; it's how you lived that makes a statement."
Well, and
And that's
one of
so true.
one of the greatest gifts of stroke was to me. I call it my stroke of gratitude because I released all attachments, people, places, things, everything. I had released attachment to my own ego about things. I live in a space of just flow and just letting things be, and I trust. I don't parent my kids from an authoritative space. I don't coach others. I don't like the label coach. I guide them. I stand by their side, apply what's relevant to them, share the tools, and allow them to take their own journey with it. I don't
Yeah,
like I don't
exactly.
like this whole ego dynamic that we live in today. It's so egocentric. You're a coach. You know everything. No, you know nothing. Because
Mm-hmm.
without your client, you are useless in this world. So
Mm-hmm.
give the client respect and understand that they are the only one that's ever lived their life. You have never lived their journey.
That's it. Not even
And we can talk
close.
about past lives, we can talk about all those other things, but there's this whole complication that they've never been a part of.
But
So
but there's the now is the now is the thing that we always miss because we're either too much in the past or too much in the future and not seeing what's going on right now in the present.
well,
Being present is so important.
focusing on the past starts depression, right? Focusing on the future creates anxiety. Being present is the gift. Like it's simple. Just be. Like
Say that
release all
again.
this.
Say that again. That was good.
Focusing on the past creates depression because all you're doing is doing the cycles of spinning in your head about the past.
Hmm.
Focusing on the future creates anxiety because then all you worry about is the future.
Hmm.
Anxiety is literally worrying about things that haven't happened yet.
Hmm.
When you start going through the unknown, well, if you live in the present, you don't care about the unknown because you're living in the moment,
Right.
and that is the present. That is the gift.
Right. That's a gift. That's a gift. So you know what, man? Listen, Mike, it has been an amazing, amazing time talking to you. You know, I know that there's so much more to what you do, but you're in the speaking space now, right? People can people can reach out to you for speaking engagements and things like
Mostly
that.
virtual, yes, because I'm a solo parent to my three kids, so mostly virtual. I have to juggle it
Okay,
around their schedule, but 100% yes, I'm willing to speak on many different topics, any topic really,
okay.
and
So
I'll
you
share my authentic story. Like I'll share my authentic journey. That's the difference: the good, the bad, the ugly. Right? Like
mhm.
I hide nothing.
Transparency is key because transparency leads to relatability, and people can relate to people's stories. So, I appreciate you coming on. Is there a way for people to reach you, if they'd like to connect about getting you
So
to speak for them?
my name is spelled at the bottom. Okay, I did spell it correctly, so that's good because I had to double check before saying this. Um, just look for me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Michael Padurano on the planet. I'm easy to find. LinkedIn is always the easiest way. My cell phone number is publicly listed on LinkedIn. It's publicly listed on my Instagram as well. I have my company Instagram. I have my company page on LinkedIn. I have the website. You can go there too. Whatever you want to do, you just find me. Just Google me. I'm sure you'll find me. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But
Michael,
if you find my DUI mugshot, I want a copy. So please send it to me. I want a poster to put in my kids' rooms. This is what happens when you don't listen to yourself.
oh man,
When you run from yourself and hide from yourself. But my
that's
kid,
it.
I'm proud of my kids because they want to face their trauma. My 12-year-old said, "Dad, I want to face my trauma," and he's healing through
That's
it.
it.
He goes through ups and downs, and he grows through it. Teaching him meditation, teaching him journaling. He does art. Goes into creative mode, releases it, expresses himself in all different ways.
That's it. That's it. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate you having on. Don't jump off. We'll talk
Okay.
afterwards. I'm just gonna close out here, guys. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for watching. Those of you who are going to be watching it now, watching it later. Also, go to pnnstationplus.com if you want to know more about how reaching out to Mr. Padurano and getting a little bit more of his story. So, look to see you later. Take care, everybody, and we will catch you on the other side.